So New Zealand have won their first ever T20 World Cup after victory over South Africa in the final in Dubai. Great for the women's game. Wonderful that we had two finalists, neither of whom had won the competition before, won the World Cup before, and Craig McMillan, a big part of that success. I know that you won't acknowledge it, but you are widely credited with making a big difference to the New Zealand women's team, Amaka. And I have to say that it wasn't a particularly auspicious build-up for the White Ferns before the tournament. Didn't they win? I mean, or didn't win, something like 10 in a row before the tournament, and then they walk away as world champions. Congratulations.
Thanks, Neil. Really appreciate that. A really special day. And you're right, the storyline was written for either one of those two sides, those two nations that have had a little bit of heartbreak at white ball finals over the years at World Cups. So just so proud of the girls, the way they went about it, the classy performance they put on in a final. And as you mentioned, the lead up to this World Cup hasn't been perhaps the smoothest. There's been some losses that have been tough to take, but there's been a lot of work go on in the background, I guess, to get us to the point that we got to throughout this tournament. And for it to all come together at this time, it just couldn't have worked out any better. So just rap for the girls.
And Maka, Sophie Devine, she's sort of relinquished the captaincy after the tournament, but I mean, a special word for her and Susie Bates. I mean, to win the World Cup, what they've done for New Zealand cricket. I mean, their embrace at the end of the game. I mean, anybody that loves cricket must have had a lump in their throat or a tear in their eye. That was amazing.
Yeah, so true, Steve. I mean, those two and Lea Tahuhu as well, but it's been around a long time. There's been a lot of heartbreak for the side over the years. The last time we were in a World Cup final was 2010. That's 14 years, so it's been a long time between drinks. And when you talk about Bates and Devine, you talk about two of the best female players New Zealand have ever produced. So it was a fairy tale, not an ending for those two, but a great way for them to put it on their CV. It was the last thing that was really missing from their careers. Devine, such an inspirational leader, such a powerhouse player. She really is. She leads from the front with her actions. Susie Bates opens up, sets the tone, is really the heartbeat of the side in many ways. She's just got that infectious sort of personality that just drags everyone along. So, yeah, rap for those two. But, you know, the amazing thing is how young the side is. I think we've got 6 players under 25. We had a number of 20-year-olds who, you know, are going to relive this experience for their whole career. They're going to be around for 10 to 12 years, and they're going to have been a world champion and that experience to fall back on over that period of time. So that's so exciting for this team.
Just a couple of other of the ladies that I'd like you to talk about. Brooke Halliday, how good was she in that innings? Was really special. And Amelia Kerr, Rosemary Mayer. I mean, just tell us a bit about them.
Well, you've reeled off a few names there, Neil, that have all been so important to the cause over this tournament. Let's start with Brooke Halliday. 2 really important innings in the semi-final against the West Indies, where we didn't have a lot of momentum throughout the batting innings. It was a tough pitch, it was slow, and we didn't really have anything going. She came in and just basically found the boundary, and it was only a short innings, but it gave us momentum to actually get a score that we felt was going to be defendable, and it ended up being the case. And she played with that freedom. That's what we've been asking for a long time, Brooke, because she's got all the shots. She's unique. She's a left-hander, which is a real rarity in the women's game. There's very few left-handers. So if you've got one of the 2 of those in your team, then it makes it a real bonus because they're hard to bowl to. So, and then obviously in the final, that partnership with her and Amelia Kerr, really, I felt, took the game away from South Africa, where at one stage, it probably felt like we were going to be around that 130 mark, which is a really sort of middling score that doesn't scare a lot of those top sides. But that partnership put us in a strong position where we could push on, be aggressive, and get that total around 160, which we knew, with the way the surface was playing, was going to be tough to chase. Rosemary Mayer's come back from injury. Steve, you would love her, fast bowler, has those fast bowling genes, just loves bowling quick, but has developed a slow ball for the tournament because originally we were going to Bangladesh and we knew that conditions would probably suit spinners more than quick bowlers, and the ability to take pace off the ball was going to be crucial. And a number of the wickets she picked up over the last 2 or 3 matches were from that new slow ball that she's developed. So, yeah, she's been a rock star for us. But all three, Amelia Kerr, player of the tournament, stood up when we needed, and that's what you need. You need key players when you need to win a final, standing up, and our girls did that.
We had Ian Smith on the show last week, and he talked about New Zealand, not because of, players don't sort of shout from the rooftops and not sort of wanting to be big in the headlines, and basically said we're not very good at producing heroes because of, the characters that New Zealand, whatever sport have always produced.
Yeah.
There's heroes in that team. You come back from the world winning a World Cup, that's hero status, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is. And it's probably the shot in the arm that the women's game needed back in New Zealand, because the reality is, Steve, that New Zealand is a small country. We don't have the playing depth that other countries have. We don't have the financial resources. But one of the key things that New Zealanders do is they find a way. They find a way. They gel together. And you're right, we don't have a lot of rock stars. Well, of course, the likes of Devine and Bates are rock stars in the women's game. But what we rely on is everyone doing their job. And if everyone does their job to the best of their ability, you add all those sums together and you usually get a pretty good performance. And I guess that's what you saw last night in the final.
A couple of things from me. First of all, you've got an ODI series against India starting in a couple of days' time. I find that scheduling interesting, to say the very least. But what about the men? What about that extraordinary win in Bengaluru? You had to have been keeping an eye on that.
I watched it, Neil, and it was really just the perfect start to the day for me. Only a third win in India, historic. I mean, we all know how hard it is to tour India and beat India in their conditions. Really, only Australia and England have done it in recent times. I think 36 years since we last won a test in New Zealand, and that was back in '88. So, yeah, it was a good toss to lose, wasn't it, that one? But, you've still got to make the most of the conditions. India, always hard to beat. They showed that in the second innings where they put a big total. So just wrap for the guys, because it's really a bit of a transition period for that men's side. It's been a bit of a golden era over a long period of time, but there was no Kane Williamson, changing captain. Some of those other players that have been through that golden era aren't there anymore. But I guess it just shows, and sometimes it doesn't get talked about enough, just the depth that we have within New Zealand cricket through, I think, a very strong domestic structure that allows players like Rachin Ravindra, and I'm sure, Steve, you enjoyed watching Will O'Rourke bowl, because he's an absolute gun. Like yourself, Tool gets that extra bounce at a good pace, hurries batters up. So our domestic scene is producing players like that, which is great.
Yeah, I did enjoy watching Will O'Rourke. We were part of the SEN, talkSPORT and SEN did the commentary for that game, Macca, and I was on it for 2 days, and I really enjoyed watching Will O'Rourke. You throw in Sears, if you can get Kyle Jamieson fit, all of a sudden you've got a possible bowling attack that could take on England when England come in a few months' time, in a month's time. But talk to me about Ravindra. I mean, I was in awe. I'm just saying to Dan McCarty 5-10 minutes ago, there was one shot through mid-wicket. Commentating on the radio, you don't have silence. I was gobsmacked. I could not believe some of the shots he was playing. He is a special talent. He is a fantastic player. And you talk about the depth of the group, but somebody's going to have to eventually replace Kane Williamson. You've got a good in their mind.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, and you saw it at the World Cup a couple of years ago, where he came out of nowhere and produced a couple of hundreds and really set his star on the world stage. But I guess, and we've played against some of the very best players over the years, haven't we? But the best players have time. And when he came out in that second innings, batting was not easy. Bumrah was getting the ball to jump, making Conway look uncomfortable, and he just looked at ease. He made batting look easy in really tough conditions. So he's going to be around for a long time. He's going to score a lot of runs for New Zealand. So as a New Zealander, it's great to see a player of that class at that young age, making his mark and showing how good he is at an early age.
And finally, from me, Macca, coaching, is that where you're at now? Or will you go back to broadcasting? And jump between the two?
Well, look, I've loved being back in coaching, Neil. I had 5.5 years off, so my last coaching gig was actually the 2019 World Cup when I was batting coach with the New Zealand side. And there were still a few ghosts from that final, if I'm to be brutally honest. It's taken a wee while not to get over, but certainly last night's helped, let me say that. But I've loved this group. They've really welcomed me in with open arms. At the moment, it's only a part-time role, and I guess that's one of the challenges for New Zealand is that we don't have full-time coaches with this team. And hopefully that's something that we can change moving forward. We've got 2 full-time coaches, but the other 2, myself included, are part-time. So there's going to be a bit of broadcasting. I'll be doing the first 2 test matches when England come out. So really looking forward to having England back in our country. I know that the first 3 days of the Basin Reserve Test have already sold out, and I'm pretty sure that the other 2 test matches at Hagley and Hamilton will sell out as well. So should be a terrific series.
Well, Harmy and I will be there. talkSPORT have the rights. We'll be doing ball-by-ball commentary. And so we will see you in the commentary box.
Look forward to it, guys.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.